Free agency is officially underway, and the Miami Dolphins started the day off by restructuring a tackle, and they've made multiple moves since then. We're going to break it all down. We're going to talk about it, plus some of the biggest moves around the NFL. Maxx Crosby, Trey Hendrickson. It's been a wild 24 hours in the NFL. We're going to talk about it all. Do me the favor. Smash that like button. If you're new, go ahead and subscribe. Let's get into this. What is good, Fin Nation? What's good? It's your boy Reason, and we are back here for another one. I appreciate each and every one of you coming through on this episode. It is a free agent frenzy out there, and we got a lot to discuss. We got a lot to go over. Please, like I said, as you do come through, smash that like button. If you're new, go ahead and subscribe. Man, here we go, huh? Free agency is officially underway, and it got wild like last night with that whole Maxx Crosby thing. If you've been living under a rock, the Baltimore Ravens backed out of the trade that sent 2 first-round picks to the Vegas Raiders for Maxx Crosby. It was absolutely wild. And the stuff that's coming out, he failed the physical. People are doubting the whole, he failed the physical thing. Diana Rossini tweeted out this morning that people in the building yesterday knew the Ravens were getting Trey Hendrickson. So everyone is saying DaCosta got cold feet, but it seems like they might have negotiated in bad faith after making the trade, and they went ahead and got Trey Hendrickson, and they knew they could land him. So, there's word out there that agents and players are weary of the Ravens now, but they're coming out of this fine. They had a strong day. It's kind of crazy. And listen, if you are a Patreon or channel member and you haven't checked out the big update we had on Tua Tagovailoa after his release, make sure you go over there and check that out. If you're not a channel member or a Patreon member, what are you doing? Go. PayPal.me/Phinside The NFL is how you can donate to the channel. You see it right there below. You can also become a Phinside Patreon, patreon.com/Phinside The NFL. And you can also hit that join button to become a member, and you're going to get access to that. I got another big update coming either tonight or tomorrow. We're going to be discussing a few things in that, some combine rumblings I'm hearing on certain prospects, as well as I'm going to have a little info on Tua's contract with the Falcons and how that all came together. So make sure you check that out. And that is being included in my episode coming out on Patreon and for channel members, because it involves the Dolphins, how that whole Atlanta thing came together. So make sure you go ahead and join the Patreon or subscribe to the channel. Join the channel. Shout out to everyone in the chat coming through. I'm going to get to your super chats in just a second here. I want to finish my thoughts on the Trey Hendrickson thing. So they ended up turning around and they ended up getting Trey Hendrickson in the whole deal. What's crazy too is what's come out is the Colts were apparently going to sign Trey Hendrickson before Maxx Crosby's failed physical. So the Colts were in deep discussions too. They were trying to sign him hard. So, we'll get into some more moves that have happened today. Let's keep it going here. I want to go over some of your super chats because they're coming through. Shout out to Dakota Valdez. He or she, I'm going to guess a he. Let's just say Dakota. What do you think of Max Clare in the third? I like Max Clare. I actually just finalized my tight end big board. And I like Max Clare, man. I really do like Max Clare. Listen, you're going to want to check out that Patreon update if you are interested in us drafting a tight end, because I'm going to have an update on a tight end. But yeah, I like Max Clare. I like Max Clare a lot. I would probably have him, I don't want to give too much away here, but let me put it this way. He's a top 5 tight end in this class, I think. All right. I honestly believe that. Shout out to Dakota, comes through again. It says, what do you think of the possibilities of Francis falling to 11? If not, is it possible we take Vega, build the trenches for Malik and future QBs? I've been a proponent. I mean, before you saw it on social media, before you saw it wherever, I've been talking about this for months. Vega Ione needs to be, if you're trading back, Vega Ione needs to be your top target. And I've come around since we signed Malik. I basically said, it feels like, listen, I've been told they're going to go defensive heavy in this draft. And that was before Malik and everything like that. And now where this roster is at, I'm on record as saying Francis Moino has been the dream on this channel all year long. You can go back to September. You can go back to whenever, August, whatever. When we've been talking draft, me and Neil of this class, Francis Moinoa has been my dream. All right. So if he falls to 11, I think it's a no-brainer. I think what you do is you give him the Tunsil treatment just on the right side. You kick him into right guard. You let him get situated there. We'll get into Austin Jackson's contract in a bit, but Austin Jackson's a free agent in 2027. So Austin Jackson's deal does not stop you from drafting Francis Moinoa, in my opinion. So I'd kick Moinoa to guard for 1 year, then kick him out to tackle. But if Moinoa is off the board, which, listen, I think, and I've been saying this, Monroe Freeling, I told y'all, he's my OT2, and I've been telling you for weeks now, I think he's going to be the first tackle off the board because he's a natural left. I think that guy's going to be the first one off the board. And that's fine. I mean, hey, if you want to tackle next year and you don't get Moinoa, you can go get Gooseby next year and just kick him to the other side from Texas. He's a stud. But, you know, I do think Moinoa, because he's a right tackle, is going to be the second off the board now. And so I do think there's a possibility he follows us. But if he doesn't, I've said this, Vega Ione, Francis Moinoa, Kenyon Sadiq, they're all home runs. Malik needs help. I would take Kenyon Sadiq over Jordan Tyson, given their injury history and what I've heard privately. So people I trust and I've talked to have said they would do the same. You know, and these are people that were at the Combine, at the Senior Bowl, et cetera, et cetera. So, you know, listen, hey, I've said this too. Vega Ione has the potential to be the best offensive lineman in this class, so I wouldn't hate it. Dakota then comes through again. Appreciate you, Dakota, and says, only fear with Malik is he has a one good year situation and we don't draft a top QB in the first round next year. That's the biggest worry of everyone. Because even if Malik shows you just enough, the holes we have, are you going to allocate a first round asset in 2027 that's going to be sitting on the bench for a year or two? And people are going to say, well, the Packers did it with Favre. The Packers did it with Rodgers when they brought in Love and Rodgers. Favre was a proven commodity and asset. He had won a Super Bowl. He was still highly sought after when he left Green Bay. Same thing goes for Rodgers when Love came there. So it's a little bit of different. This is a feeling out process in year one with Malik. We don't know what he is as a starter yet. So I keep asking myself, and this is why I kind of chuckle a little bit to myself when people are like, oh, this isn't going to stop them from drafting a guy in the first round. And I'm telling you, don't be so damn sure about that. Do you think with the holes they have, if Malik shows enough, they are going, even if we win 4 games, but Malik shows just enough, doesn't light the world up, but shows just enough to maybe continue further that investment, just put more assets around him. Are you going to give up a first round asset that's going to sit for a year or two when we got so many needs and we got so many holes? I don't know. I honestly don't know. I'm not going to sit here and tell you yes or no indefinitely, but that's food for thought. Shout out to Pete. And remember, let's also remember this too. They'll say, oh, but they did it with Rodgers. They did it with Love. Remind me where they were drafted. Correct me if I'm wrong, but were those guys not drafted in the 20s? They weren't a top 5 pick. And you got Jeremiah Smith. You know they love their edge guys. Dylan Stewart's coming out. You know, I've talked about a tackle. You can go get Gooseby. You know, like there's other holes that could be filled here too. Cam Coleman, another guy going to Texas now. Him and Jeremiah are going to be the first guys off the board. So remember, Rodgers and Love were taken in the 20s. They were not taken in the top 5. Shout out to Penn. She went ahead and she grew the Phinside fam. I really do appreciate you, Penn, for holding us down. Jeth Rock, Northerner, Ricky Jackson, Frozen Fin fan. They all got some memberships, and so did Sean Davis. Shout out to Penn. She's the best, man. She's, top dog around these parts. This is her yard. She's always growing the Phinside fam. Appreciate you and love you, Penn. Thank you so much. D Hugga says, how much cap space do the Miami Dolphins currently have? Well, we're going to have to wait because all of these numbers coming in, they've got to be added pretty quickly. Right now, over the cap projects the Dolphins having about $6.336 million. But remember, a lot of these contracts are not being announced right now too because they're on the lower end. So we don't know what some of these contracts are costing. We got to wait for contract details to leak out for us to have an official cap number. Everything's just fresh. Only opened up about an hour, just under 2 hours ago. Right? So, that's something we'll have a better grasp on that as the night continues on. Right? So, shout out to all you in the chat. I appreciate each and every one of you coming through. You know what? Let's do it. We haven't done it in a minute. Before we get into more some free agency news, let's shout out all of y'all in that chat. All right. Obviously, Penn, Michael Desire, Robert Thomason, Super V, Pro Special, D Hugga, Brian, 35, Jason Keck, Sean Davis, 99. Shout out to you, homie, 99. I see you trying to put in that draft work on Twitter. Appreciate you, homie, because I know you've been around this channel for quite some time. Daniel Meehan, Aladino Mass, obviously Dakota Valdez asking some great questions today. 315 Fin Fan. Shout out to all you. Sean Tunsil, shout out to you, homie. One of the day ones, Laramie Tunsil's relative. Appreciate you, Sean. El Dorado. Who else we got in here? Oh, sorry, I gotta come down. Yo, Austin, what's good, homie? I hope you and the fam are good. I hope the little one is growing up. And please bless your child. Don't let him be a Fin fan. Ty Blake, shout out to you, sir. Joe Levesque, appreciate you coming through. Bugs the Alien, Jeff Stoudemire, Miami Breaker. Are you breaking cards? You let me know. You need to email me at PhinsideTheNFL@gmail.com if you're a breaker. All right, Chuck. What's going on? Darrell Estate Dealer, appreciate you and thank you for the love, sir. Barclay, Michael Lombardo, appreciate you. Daddy Dean, one of the day ones. I hope your son is doing very well. I hope your wife is doing well too, Dean. Tori, Nick Weck, appreciate you all coming through here and showing some love to your boy. Rolling with Carlos, appreciate you. Dennis, yeah, there you go, Miami Breaker, appreciate you. Jeremy. We got to do a big meetup for training camp this year, people. Let's get it rolling. I've been slacking with getting those meetups going. T Jones, how you doing, sir? Jim, how you doing? Dennis Clay, Jeremy 55, appreciate you. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Mr. Spalding, love all of y'all coming through. All right, a few things I did want to talk about before we get into the Dolphins news here too. I kind of paused to talk about Dolphins news. If you didn't see, Bradley Chubb, he reached an agreement, 3-year, $43.5 million deal worth up to $52.5 million. Includes about $29 million guaranteed with the Bills. Okay. Shout out to you, Larry Lockridge. Appreciate you. Listen. Okay, cool. Who's going to give him that money? Are you crazy for this version of Bradley Chubb? Are you nuts? I wouldn't give Bradley Chubb that money. Man, come on, man. The guy had incentives last year, and, other than his sack numbers, which really, when you look at the context of it, how much we're cleaning up and how many did he whiff? I don't know. I'm going to tell you this. I'm putting it out there. Bradley Chubb was one of the nail in the coffin worst moves Chris Grier made as a GM. You gave up draft assets, you gave up financial capital, and what did you get? The biggest memory of Bradley Chubb in a Dolphins uniform is going to be what? He was one of the main reasons we lost that game to Tennessee in 2023 when he threw his helmet and caused that unsportsmanlike conduct. Like, come on, man. And listen, Tyreek Hill was explosive too, but he was a nail in the coffin. Just like, see, the Tua contract was a nail in the coffin. The Tyreek was a nail in the coffin. And the Chubb trade, those are three big nail in the coffin. And Tyreek is, yeah, okay, gave us 1,800 yards. Bravo. Let me look around. Let me count. Do I still have 2 Super Bowls behind me? Oh, yeah, I do. 1, 2. You find the third. I can't find the third. I can't even find an AFC Championship banner or divisional banner. But what did we give up? Look at the financial capital and draft capital you gave up for Tyreek. And specifically the draft capital. One of the reasons we are so thin and why Jon-Eric Sullivan has to basically rebuild the guard position because we got no depth, rebuild the tackle position because we got no depth, rebuild linebacker, rebuild edge, rebuild the whole secondary from cornerback to safety because we got no depth. All of those picks we gave up. Not just the first rounders. The day 2 picks, the day 3 picks. Those were, you're supposed to build out your roster. Tyreek Hill and Bradley Chubb's were moves when you've got the depth in place. You're not worried about day 2 and day 3 picks, really, because you're set with depth. And at the time, did we have depth? Yes, we did. But context is everything. All that depth was injury prone, or it just wasn't very good. Like Liam Eichenberg. So you didn't even have depth you could rely on. You actually, if you look at the process, the smarter move would have been to actually restock the depth and try and go for some cheaper options. Like Roquan Smith ended up being the move instead of Bradley Chubb. Now that we have hindsight, it cost much less than what Bradley Chubb did, both financially and draft capital wise. That was the move. I've talked about this for actually, like, this is not something I'm just bringing up in March of 2026. If you've been watching this channel, I've actually talked about the draft capital specifically given up in those 2 trades. I've talked about that basically since like 2024. Because we've had these depth issues. This is not new. It's just now they're so glaring. But Bradley Chubb, I don't even think he was very good as a Dolphin. I mean, that's an overpay. Knock yourself out. Go to Buffalo. He wasn't good against the run. So what am I really worried about? You know, like, what am I really, really worried about? Let's ask ourselves that, please. Minka, that trade for Minka was also finalized today. And Bradley Chubb was designated as a post-June 1st designation cut. Kirk Cousins was released today. So he's officially, Kyler Murray was officially released today, and the Vikings are really pressing hard on that. A guy that I really wanted for this defense, Nick Cross, he signed with the Commanders. That could take him, oh man, pairing him with Caleb Downs, that could be good. 2-year, $14 million. We don't even have the $7 million. And the Commanders also signed someone I wanted. It was one of my top free agent targets, and that was Leo Chanel. They gave Leo Chanel 3 years, $24.75 million. You know, $8 million a year to him and $7 million a year to Nick Cross. Those are pretty good deals, man. I wish we had some money. Daniel Jones, he got a 2-year, $88 million deal that could be worth up to $100 million from the Colts. He gets $50 million in the first year. Azeez Ojulari, one of my top targets, he signed a 1-year deal with the Falcons. Terms weren't released because obviously that's, he's getting like the vet minimum. Zayne Gonzalez, he signed a 1-year deal with the Dolphins a couple of days ago. The contract terms are now out. He had it's about $1.487 million. He got a $100,000 signing bonus. He has an $87,500 per game active roster bonus. So I thought that was and don't forget the Patriots, they did go out and add a wide receiver for Drake May. The Patriots did go ahead and add Romeo Doubs. So Romeo Doubs is a Packer. So a lot going on, man. The Lions restructured Jared Goff's contract, and they cleared like $32 million in cap space by converting $40 million of his base salary to a signing bonus and adding a void year. Crazy. A lot of moves today. A lot of moves. So let's get into what the Dolphins did, because they did a lot today. They really did. And they started off today by basically essentially signing Austin Jackson to a 1-year, $7 million restructured contract. And $5.4 million is fully guaranteed. And now he has 4 void years. And this move clears about $8.5 million of cap space, and this has allowed them to make moves today that we're going to get into. Now, people are going to look at it and they're going to go reason, oh my God, 4 void years. Yup, but they only added 1. There was already 3 void years on that contract. So again, Greer and Shore already had 3 void years. All they did was add 1, restructure, give them some money, and they moved it up. This is Austin Jackson's last year, I think. That's basically what this is telling you. I mean, Austin Jackson already had about $10 million in void dead money due to restructures in 2024 and 2025. So, hey, so what happens is he reduced his salary in 2026 by $4.5 million. And basically in return, he had about $5.475 million guaranteed. And that includes a $4.26 million signing bonus. Now, I know D-Hug asked about salary cap right now, and we got to wait because signings are coming in. So we'll have a better number for that tomorrow. But as it currently stands, the Dolphins have committed about $230 million in cap dollars for 2027. That's like the 14th lowest figure in the NFL. They have cash obligations of about $153 million. That's the 7th lowest figure in 2027. So we're going to be able to move a lot better in free agency next year if we have to. But honestly, this is what were they going to do? I told you the only way Austin Jackson was gone was if they could trade Tua. If they could trade Tua, Austin Jackson had potential of being designated as the other post-June 1st cut, like Bradley Chubb was. I know they fielded calls for Austin Jackson. They were listening to trade offers on Austin Jackson too. I know that for a fact. So this was just strictly about cap space. I mean, let's be real. They know like all we know. He might not. How many snaps is he really probably going to play this year? How many snaps are we really expecting this guy to play this year? And, this was just purely about cap space. I think it's one of those things, create the space. If he plays this year, he plays this year, great. If he doesn't, we'll figure it out. So I think this is his last year. Again, this is why I do not think someone like Moe Noah is off the board. Second round, if he's there at 43. Maxi Hanacquire, maybe they go for him. I've talked about another guy out of Notre Dame, Emil Wagner. Maybe they go for him later on. There's right tackle options throughout this draft. From the first round with Moe Noah, if you want to keep Fano there, I have him as guard. But if you want to keep Fano there, you can knock yourself out with that. Second round, hopefully a guy like Maxi Hanacquire is there. Maybe, I don't know. Do you draft a guy like Blake Miller and throw him at right tackle? Do you do something like that? I don't know. But there's options. And again, like I said, you got someone like later on, you could even go Emil Wagner, right? From Notre Dame. So, I mean, there's options for sure. right? Like there's legitimate options in the draft, and you can play that whoever you draft at right guard for 1 year, right? You could just do that. Just like, Moe Noah, I've talked about that. That would be perfect, right? Playing him at right guard for 1 year. So, and Blake Miller, I mean, he might not follow you, but I mean, that's a guy who's got a ton of right tackle experience at Clemson. You got options, Francis, Blake Miller, Maxi Hanaquire, you got options. Again, all the way to a guy like Emil Wagner. So they're not tying themselves to Jackson. They're just creating space so they can maneuver. So again, I don't hate this move. I don't, it doesn't bug me at all. Good move. Make the space. Let's get some money. Reason. Who did he get as our offensive line coach? He's a first time offensive line coach is Zach Yenser, right? Remember we brought Yenser over here. He was at I think he was at the University of Kentucky. And he's been an assistant offensive line coach with the San Francisco 49ers. So Zach Yenser, he's the guy. And he's been all over the place, right? Like I said, Kansas, Kentucky, University of Kentucky, SMU. He worked 49ers is where he worked with Halfley. So, yeah, that's who our offensive line coach is. The Miami Dolphins, they got a really big weakness, and that is at linebacker. And they went ahead and look at this, Josina Anderson. All you haters that don't like Josina Anderson, look at her out here breaking some news for all of y'all. How you gonna hate on Josina, huh? Josina Anderson broke it today that Willie Gay is returning to the Miami Dolphins on a 1-year deal, and that is per league sources. I just didn't think Willie Gay got a real fair shake last year in terms of snap usage. I thought Willie Gay didn't get a fair shake at all. If you want my honest opinion, we were scratching our heads. KJ Britt, if you guys are wondering, KJ Britt has signed with another team in free agency, so KJ Britt is not going to be returning. He signed for the New England Patriots, in fact. But I just don't think Willie Gay got enough snaps, and when he did get snaps, the guy was impactful. Like I didn't get that. I don't think a lot of us got that. He just didn't get enough snaps, I thought, last year. He only got like 132 snaps, the lowest of his career. But you're talking about a guy who had 7 run stops, didn't have a single missed tackle on those, had a sack, had a couple pressures, had a couple pass breakups. I just don't think Willie Gay got a fair shot. So bring him back. I'm down. Hey, listen, beggars can't be choosers right now when you look at this roster. Okay, let's not lie to ourselves here. Beggars cannot be choosers in any which way. So, yeah, you're not going to hear me cry about bringing back a guy who I think deserves a better shot here. So, all right. I really thought he was good, man. He was really good in training camp too. So, they're going to have to continue to fill out that linebacker room though, because you look at that linebacker room and where we're at right now. We don't have a lot there at all in that linebacker room in the interior, right? We got Tyrell Dodson, Jordan Brooks, Willie Gay Jr., Jackson Woodard. And then Caleb Johnson, we don't have very much in that linebacker room. Definitely need an upgrade at linebacker in the draft somewhere. And there's a lot of guys in this draft. But again, the best of the crop are at the end of round 1, top of round 2. We just don't have enough picks there. All right. Now let's get into new additions. And it started off this just after lunch today. The Miami Dolphins, they went out and they signed Josh Uche. 1-year deal per Drew Rosenhaus. Listen, I love it. I love the signing of Uche. If you remember, I was actually a really big fan of him coming out of Michigan. I actually called the Patriots drafting him. But if you also remember last year, he was on my top free agent target list. So I'm actually a fan of this. He was on my 2025 free agent target list for the Miami Dolphins. I believe he was he was in the honorable mentions, if I remember correctly. Listen, is he the same player he was when he was racking up sacks and being uber productive? No. But he generated 23 pressures on 132 pass rush snaps last season. Again, small sample size, but that is a 17.4% pressure rate. In 2024, with a much bigger sample size, his pressure rate was about 15%. And again, this is a guy in pass rush situations. I mean, and he's only 27. It's not like he's 33. You know what I mean? Obviously bounced around last year bounced around in 2024 between New England and Kansas City, but he was solid with New England before that. He was really solid. And obviously, I don't think we are going to see, a duplicate season of a revitalization of his season in 2022 when he had 11.5 sacks. I don't think we're going to see that by any stretch of the imagination. But man, I mean, this is a good signing right here. This is a low-key good signing. And, you're adding a veteran, and he's going to be on the minimum. He ain't going to be much. You're not going to see him taking up much of the cap. This is a good signing right there. Basically, when you got nothing other than Chop, I'm going to tell you this right now. My biggest fear is them taking Kedrick Falk. Oh, my God. Oh, my biggest fear is they're going to take Kedrick Falk at 11. I really hope Zion Young or Malachi Lawrence or one of those guys is there at 43. Because, oh, man, I am really worried. I am really worried about that. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I am really worried. You look at it. I mean, you look at that room right now with Josh Uche being added to that edge room. It's Chop Robinson and Josh Uche and Cameron Good. That's basically where you're at. Chop Robinson, Josh Uche, and Cameron Good are your edge rushers right now. They're going to have to work some magic. Yeah, same. That's how I feel, Skunk. I could be wrong, but he's got bust. He's got bust written all over him. I truly feel that too. So, listen, Josh Uche coming to Miami. We need edge help. And again, this isn't adding and I'm not knocking Calais Campbell because he's fantastic. This isn't adding like a 34-year-old Calais Campbell. In fact, I think this is an upgrade. I remember how hyped people were, especially over training camp 2 years ago, over Quentin Bell. This is a much better addition than what Quentin Bell ever was for this team. So But right now, Josh Uche comes off as more of a rotational pass rushing piece. Right? Yeah, I like LT Overton or Danny Dennis Sutton too. I like the edge class, man. But this is an edge piece right now. I don't even think, they're done here. And I think the draft, man, it's going to be such a tough decision what to do if Downs falls, if Moe Noah falls. You need this edge help. You need secondary help. What if McCoy blows up his pro day? You got no corner help. Right? Like, man, there is a lot with a lot of holes on this team that have got to be filled. It's crazy. But yeah, edge, that, I don't think David Bailey, what if Ruben Bain falls to us at 11? That would be amazing. I don't think Messidor's falling to you at 43. But yeah, I like Zion Young, R. Mason Thomas, Malachi Lawrence, Gabe Yakis, Danny Dennis Sutton. I like these guys too. So we'll see. Edge, what a priority for the Dolphins, huh? Now, where they really need help is in the secondary. And the Miami Dolphins got to work today on that secondary. Started off with signing veteran defensive back Lonnie Johnson Jr. to a 1-year deal. Again, not seeing terms disclosed. Why? Because it's not going to be for very much money. But, I mean, this is a good depth signing right here, I think, right now. This is a guy who, I mean, he can play pretty much in the slot, in the box, up on the perch for you. He can, and he offers you some special teams upside too if you need him out there. So, this is a good addition, and again, he's 30 years old, just turned 30 in November, I believe it was, and he's not, I think what happened last year was he just got hurt. Last year, was it last year he got hurt when he ran into, I think he was the one that ran into Maxx Crosby, right? Wasn't it him that ran into Maxx Crosby, I believe? So, he's coming off a little bit of an injury, but he's bounced around from Houston to Tennessee to the New Orleans Saints to Carolina, then Vegas last year. But, hey, this is just a depth signing, and we can't afford to be picky right now. Beggars can't be choosers where we're at right now. That's just it. So, again, he played a lot more in his career when he was in Houston, but I mean, it's a depth piece. The Miami Dolphins, though, up front, yeah, that might be one of their deeper spots, but they decided to re-sign Matthew Butler, who was a restricted free agent. But look at this. They did not tender restricted free agent Julian Hill, who would have cost about $3.5 million. Thank the Lord. And please don't bring this guy back either. They can still sign him and bring him back on cheaper. Barry Jackson says there's been some discussions. Oh my God, rebuild that tight end room. Please don't bring this guy back. Please don't bring Julian Hill back. You guys are better than this. You started off on a good foot with Greg Dulcich. Continue to upgrade that position. This draft is full of tight ends. All right? You can get guys all over the place. All right? You can get Kenyon Sadiq in the first. You can get Eli Stowers in the second, probably. You could probably get Max Clare in the third. On day 3, Michael Trigg, Sam Roush, Oscar Delp, Eli Raridan. Justin Jolly. A guy who I like, who's probably going to be there deep on day 3 too. John Michael Gillenborg from Wyoming. There's another deep guy I like is RJ Maryland from SMU. there's going to be a lot of options at tight end. Don't tie yourself down to Julian Hill, please. Don't even bother. Please. Now, the Dolphins weren't done upgrading the secondary. Former Titans cornerback Darrell Baker is signing a 1-year deal with the Dolphins per his agents Kevin Connor and Robert Brown. So Darrell Baker, he's another guy, again, I hope we're not relying on for starting snaps. But he's a guy where mainly an outside boundary guy. All right. Now that doesn't mean he can't move around. All right. So he can move in the round. He can give you snaps in nickel out of the slot. He's another guy that can move around. Now with him though, man, he got some legitimate snaps last year with Tennessee. He got lit up in coverage. Yeah, he had 5 pass breakups, but he allowed 5 touchdowns. He also allowed 621 yards. So I think he's actually like a decent run defender too. But yeah, he wasn't great. He's a depth piece, hopefully. I hope they're not relying on him to be a legitimate starter. He had about 720. His snaps have gone up every year. They went up from 469 as a rookie with Indianapolis, and then Tennessee's first year 626, and then last year about 723. So, I mean, hey, again, are we really here gonna knock anything because beggars can't be choosers? Who are we right now? We have no money. We're hoping guys are willing to play here for free and a bag of chips just because they like the sunshine. Let's be real here. So my expectations are not, spend money. No. So, Darrell Baker added, as well as Lonnie Johnson Jr. to the secondary. Yeah, I like Tanner Caziel too, man. He's good. All right, Dolphins, they weren't done there. Look they added more. Another safety. Here come the secondary. The Miami Dolphins, they added former Packers safety Zayne Anderson. David Cantor says that is a special teams asset for the Miami Dolphins. And that's kind of been a little bit of a theme, right? I mean, look at who they've added. Lonnie Johnson and Darrell Baker. They all can contribute on special teams as well, right? You look at Zayne Anderson and, he's a guy who, he can play safety, he can play out of the slot, but they don't really use him for that. He is mainly, he can play gunner. He's a gunner. So he's a special teams guy. This is like a gunner upgrade right here. Right now, it looks like. We'll see if that's like how they end up playing out with him. But right now, that is a massive special teams upgrade, which is kind of crazy, because the Packers, one of the reasons why Rich Bisaccia left the Packers is because they don't want to invest. By the way, we got our wish, in case you didn't wonder. We'll talk about that in a minute. But Zayne Anderson, backup safety, big time special teams player with Green Bay the last 3 years. Like that signing. Undrafted guy at a BYU. Added some veterans to that backfield. Darrell Baker, that's a legitimate depth option you've added. I like that a lot. I really honestly do. But the Miami Dolphins, they also, if you didn't see this, they also re-signed AJ Green the third. So again, another corner, right? He played 8 defensive snaps in 3 appearances for Miami last year. Remember, we got him from the Rams practice squad in November last year. Undrafted guy at Oklahoma State in 2020. Had 2 interceptions in his first 4 seasons with Cleveland. So they're continuing to fill out. So if you look at where we're at right now with this secondary, they're filling it out. They're filling it out for sure. But yeah, AJ Green, he's another guy. He, again, can play a little special teams if you need him to. Mainly a boundary guy. But he can contribute on special teams if you need him to, for sure. 110%. Gonna have to, right? So, that he was a special teams contributor early on in his career, really, with Cleveland and such too. So, some upside to this kid, some real upside to this kid. He's 27. He's going to be 28 this offseason. He'll turn 28. But you look at that 2021 season, it's pretty good. Showed some upside in that. He only had about 176 snaps, but had an interception and 5 pass breakups. Next year, he didn't allow a touchdown. Only had a 21.4 passer rating and coverage allowed. But the next year he struggled a little bit. And then, then he went to the Rams practice squad and we plucked him up. So a little bit of upside with him, about 6'2", 200 pounds. So, but yeah, you look at this secondary now, they've added AJ Green. They've added, Lonnie Johnson. They've added Darrell Baker. They've added Zayne Anderson. All guys, a couple guys with some starting experience, some guys with some regular season snap experience, but all of them can contribute on special teams. Now you add that in with bringing back Matthew Butler, which I think is a good move. You and Josh Uche. Hey, listen, a little bit more active and productive than I thought they were going to be today. I'm not going to lie. I was expecting not much at all. But, they went out, they restarted by restructuring, creating some money. And here we are. So pretty successful day one, and it's not done. Because again, our expectations are low, right? Now I don't think they have announced the Malik signing just yet. They announced, like I said earlier, they announced the Minka trade. They announced Greg Dulcich re-signing. But yeah, they have not announced the Malik signing just yet. So, what's interesting too? Like, a big thing to look at these guys, all right? Like, look at some of these guys' RAS, like you look at Lonnie Johnson, we've seen them with their offseason moves. They've liked guys with, RASes, with good RASes, right? So you look at Lonnie Johnson, right? This guy had a 9.4 RAS, 38-inch vertical jump, 10-foot 9-inch broad jump, 4.1 short shuttle, 6'1", 7/8", 213 weight. Another correlation here is look at the RAS scores they're getting for these guys. Runs a 4.5, 240. You got to be 4.6 or under, basically. So Lonnie Johnson has a 9.4 RAS. You look at Darrell Baker, he has a 9.06 RAS. Over 6 foot, 190. Has a 41.5-inch vertical, 11-foot 4-inch broad jump. Runs a 4.43 40-yard dash. Right? Like, you start looking into some of these guys and their Razes, you're going to be kind of now. AJ Green was already here. He doesn't really fit the bill, but he did run like a 4.62, so he was like right on that cutoff for them. But yeah, they're all about Razes, man. You look at Zayne Anderson, right? Zayne Anderson ran what, a 4.44 40 at 6'1", 7/8", 206. Now his vertical wasn't great. It was only 34 inches, and his 10-foot broad jump was average. But he had an elite 3 cone at 6.78. 20-yard split was was elite at 8.5. At 2.6. So you look at the additions that they've made, right? Lonnie Johnson, Darrell Baker, Zayne Anderson, big time Razes on the back end. That's one thing I noticed. They're looking for athletes on that back end. So pro day is going to matter for Mansour Delane and Jermon McCoy. So they are betting on the upside of these guys who at worst can be special teams contributors for you. But they've got athletic upside, these guys. Find it very curious, very interesting, when you do the research and when you look into what's being brought to Miami right now. Because that's been the theme for all their offseason signings. That's been the theme for all their offseason signings. That's been pretty impressive. Now, another move is just coming across the wire within the last 10 minutes, ladies and gentlemen. The Miami Dolphins are not done adding to special teams. Not done adding by any stretch of the imagination. The Miami Dolphins, they have gone out and they are signing former Patriots cornerback and special teams ace Alex Austin to a 1-year deal. They are not done, ladies and gentlemen. The moves just keep coming in that secondary. The overhaul has been something to watch, that's for sure. Holy, I love it. Alex Austin has now been added to the Miami Dolphins and to that secondary room and to that special teams unit out of Oregon State. Again, he's under 4.6. His RAS testing ain't going to blow you away, but he runs a 4.55. His 6'1". His 20-yard split's elite. It's about 2.58, and so is his 10-yard split. His composite speed grade is good, but the 20-yard split and the 10-yard split are elite. It's because he ran a 4.55. But he's got great size. He's like 195, 6'1". And this is a good player they have now added to the team. Again, he's a guy who can play on the boundary. That's where he's been used most when he's gotten defensive snaps. But yeah, he is a special teams. He is a special teams wizard. That's what he is. Last year, he was really good on special teams. Had over 157 special team snaps between kick coverage, punt return, kick return, punt coverage. So, etc. And field goal blocking, all that kind of jazz. So Alex Austin, and again, he's not even 25. He's going to be 25 in May. So the Miami Dolphins continuing to add to that room. They have now added Alex Austin, brought back AJ Green, Zayne Anderson, Darrell Baker, Lonnie Johnson to that secondary. Starting to fill out, isn't it? That's crazy. It's starting to fill out. We're watching it in real time fill out. That's been special teams has been their biggest focus so far. And the Miami Dolphins aren't done. After seeing Julian Hill, all right, get signed by the New England Patriots after they did not tender him. I'm actually shocked Julian Hill did not go to Los Angeles with McDaniel, to be completely honest with you. But yeah, they're not done. The Miami Dolphins have now added a tight end. The Miami Dolphins have added Ben Sims on a 1-year deal. So, former Minnesota tight end, obviously came out of Baylor in 2023. He has again pretty good RAS here. You know, you're talking about 6'4", 5'8", 250 pounds, had a 36-inch vertical, 10-foot 2-inch broad jump, a 4.58 40-yard dash, a 2.68 20-yard split, and a 1.56 10-yard split. So they've gone ahead and they've added a guy in Ben Sims who doesn't really have a ton of snaps, but the familiarity is guess where Ben Sims spent 2023 and 2024 in Green Bay. That's where Ben Sims was. So there's a lot of familiarity with obviously Jon-Eric Sullivan and Halfley, et cetera, et cetera. He hasn't really done much as a pro, and he's been used more in passing situations than as a blocker. So basically what happened was he signed with the Minnesota Vikings as a UDFA, right? Had a decent preseason. He was waived in August. Then the Green Bay Packers picked him up, and he was basically with the Packers until October 25th, 2025, when he was waived. Now, he did score a touchdown, during a Week 13 win over the Kansas City Chiefs. And he did the Lambeau leap, and he's celebrating. He did all of it. He thought he was just the cat's meow, huh? But, I mean, the reality is that was in 2023. So it's been a while for Ben Sims. So, again, another guy who can contribute on special teams and a depth option. Greg Dulcich is clearly the top option. Right? And they needed to pivot after Julian Hill joined the Patriots. So, we'll see. From what I remember, because I'm pretty sure I remember, I have to go look up my scouting report. But I don't remember seeing anything like, blew me away on tape. All I know is, he's got some speed to him, right? Runs a 4.58. He's quick and short area distances, and he can block. Now, he can block. I will say that. So, I think they got a decent piece here. He might even be a better blocker than Julian Hill. So, did they upgrade? Maybe they did. But Ben Sims is now a Miami Dolphin. So, the moves just keep coming, and look at, we had you updated until every last one All right. A whole bunch of moves for the Miami Dolphins. Day one, they've been super, super active. Love it. And it's going to probably continue. And we'll see. Look at all of these corners have either a really elite RAS, and if they don't, they run a 4.6 and under, and they're all over 6 foot. You look at, they've added Josh Uche. They've built out special teams. They're building out the depth in the secondary. Let's keep watching everything continue to unfold. Do me the favor, over 500 of you in the room, smash that like button. If you are new, please go ahead and subscribe. I appreciate each and every one of you coming through. Day 2 of free agency is going to go on tomorrow, and we'll have you covered because they're clearly not done. Let's see what they have up their sleeve for day 2. Fins up all day, every day. We'll catch y'all on the next one. Smash that like button. Love y'all. I like where we're headed.